Hi, this is Daniela Cambone, and welcome back to StansberryInvestor.com. Last year, when most investors were watching their stocks plummet, one Wall Street legend had an unfair advantage that was identifying winning stocks with massive upside, like Riot Blockchain before it shot up 10,000%, Digital Turbine before it shot up 789%, and Overstock before it shot up over 1,000%. This power gauge comes from the legendary Mark Chaikin. And right now you can get a free in-depth look at how his power gauge system works. A way to type in any of the 4,000 different tickers and see exactly where the stock is most likely to go next and in any type of market. Simply go to powergaugetrial.com for your free look. Again, that's powergaugetrial.com for your free look. All right, let's get to our segment today. Welcome back to StansberryInvestor.com. Our Outlook 2022 continues. So happy New Year. Wishing you all much prosperity, fortune, and above all, good health. But it's time to come back from our staycation here and make money. So I've brought back one of your all-time favorite guests. She is considered the fairy godmother of the financial world. So please welcome back Lynette Zang. She is the chief market analyst over at ITM Trading. She's been in this position since 2002, and she's been studying world currencies since the mid-'80s. Lynette, always good to see you. Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you too, Danielle. I'm so happy to be here.
So happy for you to join us. I was going to say, I think it's much warmer where you are. I'm still in Montreal, where it's currently 0 degrees Fahrenheit. I believe a little balmier in Arizona for you.
A little balmier, Daniela. Yes, it was, I think it's in the maybe 40s, 50s. We went hiking this weekend. It was a little nippy.
I'd take that. I definitely take that. All right, we have a lot of ground to cover since it's been a long time since we last spoke. First, stock valuations, as we start the new year, still through the roof, ahead of the Fed's coming interest rates. The landscape will change a lot in the first quarter. Do you think a lot of changes coming, Lynette?
I do think a lot of change is coming, and I think a lot of it is going to be as hidden as possible. There's been a tremendous amount of change, but 2022 is really a pivotal year going into 2023, which is when a lot of things are supposed to happen. You've got the LIBOR going into effect or finishing up in 2023. Presumably, the CBDCs, the US CBDC is going to be ready in 2023. I mean, who really knows? But, you have all the contracts that have to transition. So 2022 is going to be an interesting year, especially watching the Fed attempt to slow down their purchases and raise interest rates.
Well, people were kind of saying good riddance to 2021, welcoming 2022 with a lot of exuberance, and I really hope that is the case. Are you optimistic that things will turn around here?
No. No.
Okay.
We're at the end. I mean, in one word, no, because we're at the end of this long-term trend in the value of fiat money, of government-based, money. I mean, it really, how much value does this $20 bill have anymore? And with the commitment of the central banks, it has less and less and less. So even if the stock market, and I do think we're in melt-up phase, I think the stock market's going to go up? Well, yes, I think we're going to have a very volatile year as the Fed fights for its credibility. That's really, I think, what this year is about, is the Fed fighting for its credibility. But I think at the end of the day, there's not one doubt in my mind about the transition we're in.
When you say fighting for their credibility, will they do whatever it takes to fight the inflation beast? Will they be successful?
No, because inflation is baked into the very essence of this dollar. Like, I was listening this morning on CNBC, and they were talking about corporate profits and how in any environment, corporate profits will always exceed the rate of inflation, and let me say, not the real rate of inflation, but that's because by design, corporations wanted to pay employees less and less. But they knew if they accepted $10, they weren't going to settle for 5. But if they could make that $10 actually spend like 5, and they were making more corporate profits, then they were getting what they wanted. It's nominal confusion. And so, the answer is no. Can they fight inflation? No, they created it. And for them to now just blame it on the supply chain is, well, just finger pointing. It's not real. It's not real.
What is the cause? For you, is it because there's too much money in the system? Because I've had various expert opinions weighing on the inflation problem, and some will say, well, it's really just because of Biden's bad policies that we find ourselves in this mess, not because of an influx of money in the system. So if you could just talk a little bit about what you think is really behind it.
Well, what I really think is behind it is in 2008, the system died and they started massive money printing. And from that period of time forward, has the money printing, sometimes it slowed a little bit, but look at the balance sheets. Look at the balance sheets for any central banker, plus even the government, plus many of the individuals. Balance sheets are higher and higher. More and more debt has come into the system, which means more and more money has come into the system. And as long as it was just contained inside of the stock market, well, that was hunky-dory for everybody. Look at how great the stock market's doing. But the reality is, this time around, they had to give some to the little guy too. And when you do have then the supply chain issues of the unavailability of employees and goods and services, that now that money is trickling in and you've got a lot of cash that was given to the consumer that's been chasing that limited number of goods. But make absolutely no mistake about it, the cause of the inflation is because that is the foundation of the monetary system. That's it. That's it from the beginning.
So let's talk about, because I always love talking about this with you, how we protect ourselves. And you've been a big advocate all along of being independent, not relying on the system, but how important it is to come together as a community to fight this hyperinflation. So let's talk about protecting oneself here. Top tips from Lynette Zang.
It's food. You want to look at everything that you need to have a comfortable standard of living. And that is food, water, energy security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. And inside of food, I also put like medication, because these are the things that you need, no matter what's happening in the economy, to have a nice, stable foundation. You need to become your own central banker, because gold protects you. It's finite. It is real money, even though they can abuse the ability to manipulate the price. At the end of the day, this is what they value this against. So, you want that, but you need everything else. You become your own central banker so you can preserve the wealth that you've managed to accumulate, and you can also put yourself in a position to take advantage of what nobody's going to be able to avoid, which is a complete transition, hyperinflationary depression collapse of the current global monetary system. So that's what you do.
Do you have a preference in terms of the precious metals right now? I know you love gold and silver. Are you looking at platinum, palladium, rhodium?
No, I'm not, because those are all industrial metals. And this is a crisis of money. So therefore, my focus is on, and it has been. I'm not saying I don't own some platinum, because I do, but it's more about its scarcity. It's not about its monetary value.
What about the gold miners, Lynette? Would you add those to your portfolio, or you just want to be physical?
I just want to be physical, because a gold miner is still a corporation, it's still subject to debt, it's still running counterparty risk. And I think right now you want to eliminate as much counterparty risk as possible. And so the only way that you can really do it is through, the physical gold and silver, because this in my hand runs no counterparty risk. This runs no counterparty risk. They are the only financial assets in the world that run no counterparty risk. So I want to see where the dust is going to settle. Right now, I'm being, I think, extraordinarily conservative by holding the lion's share by a wide margin in physical gold and silver. Of course, I haven't vaulted off the property for obvious reasons.
Okay, for the folks at home new to you, Lynette, let's get your thoughts on the crypto currency market.
Okay.
Do you have any exposure to the cryptos right now?
I personally do not have any exposure to the crypto market because my feeling was since it came out, and I've been watching it since it come out, that it was more about getting people comfortable in that so they could transition us into programmable money. That is not to say that that will be true into the future. Same thing with stocks. Probably won't own any bonds because that's just garbage. But, I want to see where this dust is going to settle because we have to be feeling an awful lot of pain in order to accept what the powers that be have in mind for us. So I think it's here to stay, no doubt about it. And it's pretty clear that Wall Street has 100% or so adopted, the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, etc. So I don't think that they're going away. I'm just not convinced of what their valuation is. And, it's still a baby market, and it has never been tested during a crisis.
And it has not been tested during a rising interest rate environment, really.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays out. Let me ask you this, Lynette, because I've had, some experts who were perhaps 25% cash exit that recently and enter the cryptocurrency market. But you say, it's still young. And how much does the regulation factor concern you? Does it concern you? Because you mentioned the emergence of central bank digital currencies, which we will see. It's a $2 trillion market that obviously will catch the attention of regulators here. I mean, are you concerned that this might become a main focus here this year?
It definitely is because there is a battle that's been going on between the private cryptocurrencies and the central bank created currencies. And it's hard for me to imagine any central banker go, oh yeah, we've had a great run. Here it's your turn now. So I think we've got a big battle going on. And we've seen, like, if you look at what happened in China first they were like, oh yeah, we'll run side by side. But then the government was like, no, I don't think so, because the adoption to their central bank digital currency was not happening as quickly as they wanted it to. So we are inside of a battle royale to see what happens, and it's really Wall Street now against the central banks. And who's going to win this battle? I don't know. Somebody's going to win the battle. Hopefully, it won't be the massive amount of public that will lose this battle, because hopefully there will be enough people that are in physical metal that can force choices. That's my big concern, is the loss of choice.
I know you've been a supporter of our Outlook series, and I thank you for that. And I'm sure if you've watched the interviews, we've had many, let's say, doomsday scenarios being predicted here, from Kiyosaki to Salente, of a major financial crisis, the largest in history of our time, whatever.
Yep.
That will occur soon.
It's already here.
It's already begun for you.
It began in 2008. It's just in more slow motion. Sometimes it's slower, sometimes it's faster, but goodness gracious, you should never let a good crisis go to waste.
Do you think that it's hard to see that reality because of what we're seeing in the stock market.
The stock market is a really big one. The artificial interest rates and the negative rates are another one. And the increase in salaries for the lowest wage earners is probably the biggest one.
Who has the most to lose, Lynette?
Oh, wow. The masses. It's definitely the people that are married to the stock market and all intangible. If they're holding all of their wealth in
Yeah,
intangible assets,
yeah,
the stock market could go to 50 trillion. But if you converted those into dollars that bought nothing, what do you have? You have nothing. So it is unfortunately going to be all of those people that will own nothing. I question whether or not they'll be happy because then they're going to be renting everything and their income is going to be now issued in a programmable money.
right. So that's a good point you bring up for the folks that are maybe renting at home versus homeowners. How important is it during this time to own your property, own your home?
Well, I think it's critically important because you need a place to make your last stand. We go into crisis. Where are you going to get the food if you are completely dependent on the grocery stores? Well, don't you remember what happened in March of 2020? Okay. Water, we are in a drought circumstance. It depends. But the answer is, yeah, it's the normal person that is not in a position or have not put them, I'll say it this way, has not put themselves in a
Yeah.
position to be independent. So those that are completely dependent on the system, those are the people that are going to suffer
Yeah.
the most.
And for the folks at home that maybe are listening to this and thinking like, wow, I need to, take action. It's a brand new year, like, wipe the chalkboard, but I'm so far from being independent. It might sound overwhelming, right? Like, how do I start? Where do I start? What would you advise them to do? Like, how do you start becoming independent?
Well, it's not it can be overwhelming if you're looking at having to do everything all at once because
Right.
most people don't have the capacity either emotionally or financially to do that. So how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you write these, that's my mantra: food, water, energy, security, barterability, wealth preservation, community, and shelter. And you put those all down on a piece of paper and you say, okay, where do I feel the most vulnerable? If you've got everything in the stock market and you're concerned about a major stock market rout, well, you might need some gold to support that. So when that goes down, that's going up, and you have a truly diversified portfolio. And so maybe you do some of that and you say, well, I don't know what I'm going to do to buy my food because it's going to take a while for me to learn how to plant and how to do that. Well, then you want some silver, but then you also do want to plant some food or get some dry food storage or throw some sprouting seeds in the freezer. So you just look at where you're the most vulnerable and then
Yeah.
start to fill those holes
Yeah.
so that at least you're better off tomorrow than
Yeah.
you are today.
I love that. That's really, really well said. I think that will resonate with a lot of people and hopefully help a lot of the folks
Oh,
back at home because that's what we want to do. We want to help educate. Um,
exactly. And can I just add, this is also where community and why community is so important.
yes.
Because somebody else, like, when March of 2020 hit, I was able to help a lot of people because I had lots of toilet paper, I had lots of food. I was prepared for it. So it really had no impact on me, but I was able to share. So you come together in community, and maybe you've been working in this area and you're stronger over here, but somebody else is stronger over there, and you have different skill sets and you have different things you put back. Now you can come together to help each other, and
Yeah.
you're a whole lot stronger.
Lynette is definitely the friend you want to have during a crisis. Um, let's just wrap with this. Any New Year's resolutions you've made? Do you believe in resolutions, Lynette? Do you make any?
No, I don't really make any resolutions. I am really, but I started this in December too to get even more organized. But no, I don't really do resolutions. I just always try to be the best that I can be and take good care of myself and boost my immune system and show up and do the work.
Boost your immune system. Any tips? What are you taking for that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I eat a lot of green, lots
Okay.
of green,
Dark
uh,
leafy greens.
dark leafy greens,
Okay.
and fresh organic. I mean, from my farm, so it
I know.
cannot be fresher than that.
Yeah.
But I also do like ivermectin every
Okay.
week, and I'm going to be a keynote speaker coming up, so I've been like extra boosting with things like zinc and quinine and things like that.
Okay, well, all helpful tips. Lynette Zang, I wish you a wonderful start of your year. We will touch back soon.
Yes.
But wishing you luck, success.
Thank
Continue.
you. I wish luck and success for everybody. I think this is going to be a very volatile year. I think it's going to be a very interesting year. But, with them suppressing the price of gold and silver, this might be your last best opportunity to get it this cheap.
There's always a silver lining. There's always
Absolutely. And
Lynette
I
Zang.
wish you a very, very, very happy new year and very healthy and great.
Thank you, and to all our viewers as well. Thank you so much, and thank you all for watching our Outlook series. We'll continue with more fabulous guests like Lynette Zang. So be sure to stay tuned to stansberryinvestor.com, and don't forget to sign up for premier access to content you can't get anywhere else at danielacambone.com. That's it for me. Thanks for watching.
Opinions expressed on this program are solely those of the contributor and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Stansberry Research, its parent company, or affiliates.